All right, so what is your background in nutrition and how do you help students here at ASU?
So my background is I completed my undergraduate degree in nutrition dietetics from ASU in 2010. To become a registered dietitian, we have about a 1-year practical internship where we kind of practice becoming dietitians before we actually do it. So the following year, I finished that through the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Then later that year, in 2011, I completed my exam. That's kind of the final step in becoming a registered dietitian. And then once I'd finished all my credentials, I started graduate school later that year at the University of Wyoming, where I was a grad student and also the dietitian for the athletics department. And then I graduated from the University of Wyoming in 2013. Had one other job before this, and I've been back at ASU for a little over 4 years.
Cool. So clearly you have a lot of knowledge. So according to Vox's TV show called Explain, 80% of Biggest Loser contestants regain their weight 6 years after the show. What causes them to regain their weight?
So part of the cause of the regain, there are a couple different factors that are going on. So Vox has actually had a really interesting series. I've never seen this show, but I read their blog. Their writer, Julia Bellis, I think, writes a lot of posts about like nutrition, metabolism, health, things like that. So I read a lot of their articles. And around the time the Biggest Loser article came out, which I believe was around 2016 maybe, that was kind of one of the concerns. So there's a couple things that we know about diet studies. In diet studies, what happens is there's like some type of controlled situation. People are following a diet, or the diet is actually given to them, provided for them, things like that, and then it's monitored by the team. Even like a long-term diet study would be considered to be about 1 year, or about a 1 year follow-up after that study. So even when studies seem to show like a good long-term result, we really don't have a lot of that information. And there's not a lot that we know about how well that really works over the long term, except that we do know that most people who diet do gain that weight back.
Cool.
So, sorry, I have more on this issue. So what happens with the dieting stuff is that one of the biggest causes of weight regain after a diet is people's diets slowly kind of like transitioning back to how they were eating prior to starting the diet. The other thing is that the body has like many mechanisms to gain weight and then also to preserve weight that has been gained. We have very few mechanisms to try to like reduce weight gain or easily lose that weight. If you think about like all of human history, the part of our history where we've actually had like a surplus of calories and like too much weight, too much energy or calories available, it's just like the tiniest pencil point dot, you know? So we're not really accustomed to this type of environment. So the second that we reduce calorie intake, metabolism, or the amount of calories that we burn each day decreases. And then also once your body weight is less, then calories burned are even less. Finally, with people who have had a higher body weight, I think what the evidence shows, and especially in terms of like the Biggest Loser study, is that, say for example, a person who weighs 250 pounds reduces their weight to 175 pounds. Even with similar statistics like height, age, gender, sex, their weight, a person who has always weighed 175 pounds will probably be burning more calories at that weight than a person who has really reduced their weight. So that's something that then you're kind of like fighting, you know?
In an article in New York Times by Jane Brody, she states that physicians recommend a reduced calorie diet and lifestyle change for overweight patients. What are some lifestyle changes that you recommend to your patients?
So that's a really great way to put it, I think. And I know a lot of people, I think, are more aware of that. And I have students come in saying, like, I know it's more of a lifestyle change. I'm ready to start making some of those changes, which is good. While we have very little evidence that there's a lot of people who lose a lot of weight and keep it off, there is a section of people who have lost at least 30 pounds and maintained their weight loss for a year or more, who have opted into this registry called the National Weight Control Registry. So researchers like to see what's going on with people in the National Weight Control Registry, since they're doing something that is not easy and that a lot of people are not managing to do over time. And what researchers have learned is that whatever participants did to lose the weight is what they are still doing to maintain it. So when I'm working with a patient who wants to lose some weight, I really want to see like what types of changes they can picture making like day in and day out. There are so many factors that affect how much we weigh that I really prefer with my patients to focus on what the behaviors are going to be more so than the outcome. Because you can control if you meet your goal for exercise for the week, or if you meet your goal for writing down what you've eaten for the week or getting enough protein or things like that. We can't always control like what actually happens with the weight. So I like to focus more on behavioral goals and then have people really think about what could change about their life like pretty much every day forever. And that too, I like my patients to consider how they feel about their own health status, because I do feel that many people desire to lose weight. Many people do have health benefits from losing weight, but I think a lot of people can also have those health benefits without actually losing weight if they're eating healthier, if they're physically active, things like that. So with my patients, what I like to ask is, if nothing in the world could change your weight, are there still changes that you would make to feel healthier? And if so, like that's a really good sign to me, because hopefully if that person's interested in weight loss, those same changes will contribute to a healthier weight for that patient without feeling like something that they have to like white knuckle just to lose that weight.
From Psychology Today, they say that to maintain your weight, you should follow a lifelong program of everyday healthy, pleasurable eating coupled with regular exercise to lose weight, eat less, and exercise more. Is this true, and what you recommend to your patients?
It's true. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember where I read this quote now. But we all have heard the phrase, eat less, move more. And I feel that that's one of those things that is true but not helpful. Like it doesn't really tell people like what to do.
Specifically.
And that's like what my concern is. So yes, that is true. But with my patients, and especially if I'm in like a one-on-one setting, I'm trying to figure out what's going on in their lifestyle that is a barrier to, for example, moving more. Like what's been a barrier to having a more regular physical activity routine, and what's been a barrier to eating healthier and or eating smaller portions. Anecdotally, my experience has been that one of the biggest barriers to people managing portions and making healthier food choices is that they get too hungry in situations that are too tempting. So I always tell my patients, like, it's not a willpower problem if you come home from a long day of work or school and you're starving and you eat the most available thing. Like, that's what we're meant to be doing. Like, biology says, like, yes, do that. So what I'm trying to work on in that case is how we can make that part easier. So whatever behavior the patient or the student or the individual decides that they want to do more of, I feel that my role is to help them decide what it is they want to do more of and help see what the barriers are and how we can reduce those barriers so they can better do that. Research shows that we tend to do like the same things. Like 40% of what we do every day is just habit. Like we don't think about it, it's just habitual. And the less effortful a decision feels, the more likely we are to stick with it. So I really am trying with my patients to see how we can reduce the effort that goes into eating healthy. So for example, that might mean if they notice that they're always starving when they get home, that we are making sure that they are packing the night before a protein-rich lunch and also a protein-rich afternoon snack to reduce that barrier, since it seems like the hunger and then the urgency of that hunger is a big barrier. So that's kind of where I'm at with the eat less, move more, and then like yes, but how, if that makes sense.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.